Gentlemen, you're welcome to another exciting episode of Find Your Voice and Own Your Space. It's a show where professionals break barriers, speak boldly, and claim their spotlight. Your voice is your power, and it's not just in what you say, it's in how you own it, how you move with it, and how you carve your space in the world. In case you're joining us from YouTube or LinkedIn, know that this is the one stop place where inspiration meets action. My name is Jade Sola Adeodun, the host for Find Your Voice and Own Your Space show. Now, if you're joining us on YouTube, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Jade Sola Adeodun and make sure you turn on your notification button when next we have another video. If you are joining us live on LinkedIn, remember to drop your favorite emojis. I'm going to be going through the comments in the course of this show to just share your views and just see you as much as I can possibly do. Now, for today's episode, we are going to be sitting with a very phenomenal voice of influence. He is a global brand strategist. He's a trained broadcast journalist and a certified PR consultant. He's been able to master the art of influence from storytelling to making brands global. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome with me on episode 4 of Find Your Voice, Own Your Space. Eze Chukwudi! My friend and my brother.
Hello,
Welcome
thanks
to
for
the
having me, Jade.
show. Looking
Thank
fresh
you so
all the
much.
way
I'm
from the
excited
North
to be
American
here.
side of the world.
It feels good. It feels good to be here.
How have you
Feels good to be
been? How have
here.
you been? So good to see you.
Uh, I'm doing really well. Coping. Just blending into like the new environment. Quite different from like the Nigerian space, but
I
it's
know
a
it.
beautiful place also. So, yes, I'm excited to be
And
here.
congratulations on your new position.
Yeah, I'm very quiet with that. I just kept that on the low. So.
It's your lucky something. We don't used to laugh. We don't do that
Yeah,
here. We don't
I
used to
just
laugh.
kept that
So
on the I just kept that on the low. Yeah.
fantastic. I mean, it's all good. So I know that when we're having a conversation before we came on live, we're having
Okay.
this banter as to how you were a trained broadcast journalist because I also attended MBA. That's how I started my
Yes.
journey into media because I used to be an educator. And before I pivoted from education to media, I had to go to MBA. And then after that, I was able to then start my journey in the media space. But for you, from journalism to PR to being a global brand strategist, let's have the juice. Sorry, the juice.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question, right? I'll just start from like the background. Um I know this week now there was a video that was trending of like this Nigerian pastor who said people should not go and study if you one of the most useless courses to study if your parents are not in politics is political science. I'm one of those people who
Okay,
study political. I had a background in political science from the university,
interesting.
and um, when I left, I think was the turning point for me was I think there was a program like the year I was leaving school, and it was
Hmm.
tagged beyond, like beyond the university or something, and someone came to speak about, you know, branding. It was something that really excited me. I didn't know so much about it, but it was just something that stuck with me. It was just something I just felt like this resonated with me. So when I left university, I
Hmm.
a friend of mine told me about like the Mrs. Ibukwa Woshika's initiative, like after school graduate
Mhm.
development program, and I got admitted into the program with some of my friends, and we had a training for I think we are trained for about a month. We're in Ikoyi, coming every day, and then so it was at that place that I really found. So we had like brand managers from Virgin Atlantic, quite a number of people, Steve Harris, Bankole Williams, like some of the trainers
Yeah.
that Mrs. Bukawashika had brought then. So it was then also that I really just solidified, like in my mind, I was like, I knew I want to be in branding. I liked this thing branding, but I just didn't know how to go about it. I like branding. Human capital development was also a thing for me back then because I had shadowed Fela. I'd also volunteered for some of his initiative, like leadership programs. And after the 1 month training, there was something that they did for us then, which is it was mandatory for everyone to take a psychometric test,
What's that?
which so it's a psychometric test which it helps you to analyze your capabilities and your skills from certain questions, and then the result tells you this is where your strength lies, this is what you'll be good at. So after
Okay.
we did the test, I got the results, and yes, he said I had people skills. I leaned towards more, like relating with people and stuff. So I saw the psychologist. They brought a psychologist for us, and then she analyzed my psychometric test, and she was like, she recommended the first thing she recommended to me was I would you have great people skills from this result and stuff like that. I would advise that have you heard of Nigerian public Ministry of Public Relations? Well, I said not really, but she wrote that down. She recommended that to me, and after she told me that, I the funny thing is I didn't even take up on that. I didn't follow through with the NIPR immediately, which was one mistake
Mm.
I made. But what I did is I also
Why though?
realized that because what did you s- so at that time there was okay, that time I had not served, and I also had radio in mind. So after the program, a few months down the line, I was already thinking of like I knew I love the media space, so I wanted to really so everything was still aligned one way or the other, but my priority then was like it was more for like the radio training, and I did that, and you know I tried looking for opportunities even before serving. I interned at Metro FM for a while, but I didn't get, I wasn't kept after my internship and stuff. So I moved on, went to youth service, and after that time, I got a job. Next thing led to another. I totally even left like the NIP. But 2 years after or 3 years after I left, like the first job I got after NYSC, that was now when it dawned on me that I needed the PR certification. And the sad part was, as at the time when that was recommended to me, it was ridiculously cheap. And I had more time. I would have done that at a very convenient time with zero stress. The time I now wanted to do it, I now had to look for time to take off work, and I had to do so. One thing that also taught me is, if there's something you need to you know, do it immediately. Don't wait for like especially when you like for people who are, let's say, you're currently unemployed or you're looking for jobs. One of the best things I always advise people to do is take up trainings related to your field. Be prepared for the opportunities ahead, right? So
Mm.
it makes so much sense that before you actually need that certification, you already have it. You
Have
see,
it.
just like people who like we have people who became ICANN certified from like 200 level, 300 level. It's like they're already ahead of you're already ahead of your peers already. So when you come out, you don't have to struggle the time you're supposed to be, and then you get better pay immediately you're done with school. You are separated from like the pool of people because you already
Every
have
other
these certifications
person.
even exactly. So that's literally how I tried getting into radio. I tried in getting into TV. I'd met the deputy chairman of Channel Television one time. I know he promised me, oh yes, send me a message. I would align you with this. You know how things happen, life happens. It didn't work out. And I was like, okay, I wanted to start earning and stuff like that. And radio and TV wasn't forthcoming. I interned with quite a number of people. I was doing like my friend also had like Talk Village Radio. I'd gone
Mm.
for some of his interviews, so I did quite a number of those things. But one thing that really helped me was, I knew I had certain traits in me that, you know, I find it easy to communicate with people. I enjoy being around people. People enjoy being around me. And that psychometric test really just helped me to understand, oh, if you really want to succeed, this is like the path you should toe. Anything that has to do with people, engaging with people. That's why I thrive in sales, speaking, engaging with people. So that really helped me, define, where I should be, and then what I should channel my strengths towards, and what I shouldn't channel my, it helped me to focus more on my strengths than my weaknesses. So yes.
Fantastic. I mean, and I love the fact that you were able to, you were in the right place at the right time,
Yes.
and you were in the
Yes.
right company of people that helped you find where your skills could be most useful.
Absolutely.
Now, and
Absolutely.
that being said, how did you then make that transition from, because you had said something that because what you really wanted wasn't forthcoming, at what point did
Yes.
you then decide to then move into PR and branding?
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Right. So I remember when I tried after I left youth service, and like it just dawned on me, okay, what do I really want to do? Because during youth service, I taught in a school, and I was also able to help like the secondary school and students build capacity. So when I left, I was really confused on, oh, what should I do? What did I really want to do? So in my moments of confusion, one of the things that I really did was I attended quite a number of conferences and trainings by speakers who had been in the industry, just to gain more clarity. I would reach out to mentors. I know I reached out to Steve Harris on LinkedIn, on Twitter. Oh, I have this passion. I have this. I remember one of the things I reached out to Steve Harris. I was like, oh, I'm passionate about several things. And then one of the things he said to me is,
Mm,
what's that one thing that you know you can do, or that keeps you up at night, that you enjoy doing and you never get tired of, that even if they wake you up you would always want to. And I knew that speaking was part of what I enjoy. Speaking, I enjoy talking to people. Like, I had my way with words, and getting people to believe in whatever I believed in. So after those moments of like confusion, I found clarity. I was like, okay, yes, I enjoy doing this. I volunteered. I did some red carpet hosting, volunteered for quite a number of things just to interact with people. And I got my first job. It was a sales and marketing job, right? And I think that's when I had like the foundation. It helped me to interact with people. While I was there, I was in sales. One of the reasons why I left after going to broadcast school, when I couldn't find radio job, and I needed to earn money while also chasing that dream. So it wasn't like I left.
it's important to
Yeah,
earn
so
money.
because you need something to fuel, you need to find something to, because we live in a world right now where to chase your dreams or to be able to get more opportunities, you need to be able to earn to actually find some of these opportunities, get trainings and stuff like that. So when these opportunities were not forthcoming in radio or TV, picked up a job in, someone recommended me. I got a job in sales and marketing for an interior design company. I did that for a while also just building my skills in like social media, email marketing. I was learning from one of my friends, and an opportunity came up with a company in VI. It was a management consulting firm and a hospitality recruitment company. And then I applied for the job, and then I got called um, for interview in VI. And once I got that job, it was a social media strategist role, because I've been doing social media. I know how it worked and stuff like that. So I picked up the job. It was a great opportunity. It also built my skills. I was able to organize conferences, go out, like put the company out there. So what I was doing then was I knew I wanted to be in branding. So most times I took opportunities that I just took experiences and jobs that were building me for where I was going. I didn't know how I was going to get into branding properly, but I kept growing my expertise. Every business organization that I worked at, I was learning how things worked. So when I got the opportunity to become a social media strategist for a top firm in VI, I was growing, learning, taking trainings, and at one point in time, I realized that, oh, what you're currently doing also requires, some form of certification. But while I was working there, I still didn't even take on PR proper. So when I left that job, when I left the job, there was another opening. The company was going through like shuffling and all those stuff. So I lost my job after a while. It was an amicable, ending. I got paid everything, and I was home for a while. And this is where I always tell people, this is something everyone you would learn from this, right? There was a silver lining. While I was home, I was applying for other roles, trying to see if I could get, you know, I was applying for different things that were not really what I wanted to do. Because I'd done sales before, then I moved to social media strategist. I was applying. I even reached out to Sujimoto. He started just when he just started back then because he was friends with my former MD, and he sent me to his HR. I did that. Reached out to quite a number of people who my job had, brought me in contact with. They referred me, oh, okay, do this, but nothing came out of it. So while I was home, I applied for different jobs. Nothing was forthcoming. Then I saw a loan officer application.
Hmm.
I put in the I put in the application, and I got to the office. It was one small office in Allen Avenue in an estate. When I looked at this place, I looked at myself. I was like, well, but
An
I didn't
option
have a,
at this point. You need to
so I
earn an
didn't have an
income.
option. I was not earning an income. I was done with school. I was no longer collecting money from my parents. I felt like, how do I survive? And I went into the interview. They kept us waiting for, okay, well, we had the interview, first stage, second stage, and then everything was within like the same day. And somebody looked at me because one of the things that stands me out every time I go for an interview or anywhere you find me is I always like to make a good impression with how I look. My appearance is very important to me, and it has opened doors for me that I'll tell you that the job I got in VI, yes, my CV was decent, but that was not the only thing that stood me out. It was how I spoke, how I dressed, because the MD looked at me. He just said, immediately saw me, saw how I spoke. He said, "This is our guy. This is who we
Hmm.
want. This is who we want to represent us." So now back to like the loan officer job. So I got to this place. They looked at me. One of the like the branch manager of the microfinance bank looked at me and said, "Do you know that you'll be going to market and speaking to people with the way you look? Do you think you can speak to people, market women?" I'm like, "Yes, man. I'm really good at speaking to people. I know how to come. I'm a great salesman." She looked at me again, like, "Are you sure that you can dress it? We are speaking about market women giving loans to these people." I said, "Yes, man. That just take this bet on me. I will deliver." But me, what was speaking in me is not the part of me that is great at selling. It's the part that I was just be tired of being jobless. I just want to be. It was like I was jobless for so long. It was just a month because I was still
Hmm.
even helping my friend who had just launched this company. I was volunteering on the side, helping him design, also creating brand direction for his own hospitality page. I was like the first brand manager, and his page is really big today now. So I was his first
Mhm.
um, brand and social media manager. So, but I wasn't earning anything because the business was not earning. So they looked at me and said, "Okay, you know what? We'll shortlist you. We'll keep you. You need to wait for our MD." And they kept me for the MD was not around. Maybe she had a business meeting, and they kept us for hours. In my mind, I say somebody is keeping me for this long. They're not even treating us well. This company is probably not for me. I don't think I'm doing this one. Let me just even hear what they want to say, but I'm never coming back to this type of company. And lo and behold, when the MD came, the first guy went in, did his for loan officer. I think, yeah, it went well. Then when I went in, she looked at me. She looked at my CV. She said, she said, "Your CV is good, but this is not this is far from what your experience is. You're show me some of the things that you've done." I said, "Yes, I used to write, like I was the brand manager, I was the social media strategist for this company, showed how my content, did the articles that I've done and everything." She said, "No, this is not in line with what you've been doing previously. So we currently do not have an in-house brand officer, somebody who handles our social media page. Would you like to take up the opportunity?" Ha! This is
Love
where
it.
you know that God works.
Mm,
God works in the affairs of men.
True.
The funny part, I'm going to share something. It might be a bit funny, but it might sound a bit religious for those who are probably on the line or on this live. I was in church.
Yeah.
I think my friend, she attends Fountain of Life.
Yeah.
And I think the pastor just said something that God is going to turn something around for you. There's going to be something. There was a
Mm.
word that came. Just maybe it wasn't for me. But it was then and then when she
Hope
said,
Isha said amen.
I said amen that day, Sha, but I did not
It's
even
okay.
know if it was for
It's
me.
a still do.
So, but I
Continue.
said, yes, so, but that's how God. And then she just, from being, an applicant for a loan officer role, she just
Mm.
gave me a brand officer. I'm just going to
Wow.
be an intern for a while. I'll be managing the social media. I'll be doing content. I'll be doing, and lo and behold, right, till date, I still get feedback. She's probably because she made me a brand. I did not apply to be a brand manager, brand officer. I didn't even know how. From a social media strategist, I applied to be a loan officer. And then in
Mm.
that situation, when she looked at my
That's the
CV,
case.
looked at my
Mm-hmm.
and said, and this is how God uses people to just imagine if I had not applied for that role. I don't know if I'll be a
Mm.
brand manager today. I'll
Mm.
probably still be doing sales, or maybe later in line, God would have probably brought me. But then again, this is one of the things. Do not sit idle. Even while you're waiting for that dream job, that you can take up a temporary job, become really great at it, get the best experience from it. And you see, I always tell people there's no experience that is useless. Every experience that I've had from
That's all.
sales, from my
Mm.
from my sales, from the internship that I did at Metro FM till date,
Yeah.
everything has contributed into what I have become today. One of those experiences have led to my growth. So every day I look today, I tell her she's the reason why I'm a brand manager today. She's the reason why, because I applied for a loan officer, but she looked at my resume, looked at the things that I'd done, and said, no,
Mm.
this is not where you should be. And this is, so, and that's how really I, God literally used her and made me, I became a brand officer, then grew to become brand and communications manager for the company. And we did so many great things together. She helped me grow. She allowed me to, I was learning, I was making mistakes, but she still just believed in me to, you know, while I was there, there's so many things that I didn't know, but I was learning on the job. And
On the job.
encouraged me. She encouraged me to. That's why some managers, you see, one of the things that you should look at really when picking up jobs is the type of manager that you have, because they can, it's like some parents, like when you have like teachers as parents, they follow you to. So this lady was like, she was my manager, but in a way almost always like my career model or something, who guided me to become, what I've become today. Every time I speak to her, like, I have employees who are there who have left, she still says Eze was my best hire,
Hmm.
and I was just loan officer applicant that
Now become
the Lord
brand manager and strategist.
and thanks to that job and that relationship that I built, I have not,
Mm.
for over the past 7 years now, I've not done any other job outside brand communications and marketing manager. And she laid that
Fantastic
foundation. And I'll tell you for a
for
fact
you.
that it was working at, and this is also those of you that always you want to work in the big companies, you want to work in top five, you want to work in this. If those ones don't come, start somewhere, because you can find you see, it is from that small company where you find your voice and you own it really well that people would find you. It was from C20 where I was working then that I became, I even built my influence on LinkedIn. Almost of the
Hmm.
influence I had was when I was working from her. I got invited to the World Bank when I was working for, with her, because she gave me the opportunity to grow. She allowed me to take risk, so, and she saw that I was diligent and I was good at whatever I was doing. I put everything into her business. Some people considered me, a lot of people on LinkedIn used to think I was the owner of the company because of how much, even my colleagues in the office, they call me assistant MD, because if you want to really grow, you also need to put, you see, excellence is not, you cannot fake excellence. If you really do not You see, if you think, even yeah, where you start from most times, it might probably not be the biggest place. Somebody looked at me one time and said, is this where you're always dressing to and coming to? It was a small company, but the structure and everything that she put in place in that organization, there's so many big companies that don't have it to date, you know.
Mm.
And I worked there for almost 4 years, and there was not a time
Wow.
where there was all salary or delay in this. She was an amazing, So if you don't get that big opportunity, or I want to work in those, start somewhere small, find your voice from a small place, and then you'll become known. Your excellence will announce you over time, right? So this is literally just, I don't mind if there are
No,
questions,
no. So I mean, there's something that there were two things that you said that stood out for me.
Yeah,
You had the ownership mentality, even though you had
absolutely.
gone in for a particular role, but because
Yes,
of your process and you had documented it in such a way that it sold you in the next place, you were able to
absolutely.
then create a new space for yourself, even though it wasn't up for the offering. And secondly,
Yes,
you dressed like the man for the job. And then see,
ab-
if you're watching this live, Eze is a
absolutely.
dresser, is a stunner, is a dapper gentleman. Like if Eze, God, Eze doesn't show up small, he shows up big. I mean, he's not showing up at all.
Thank-
So I mean, what really inspires your personal stuff? Because I know that at some point you started having like coaching calls
Yeah,
on personal style. What
yes.
really influenced you dressing up? Even you did not allow the size of the organization that you worked for affect your sense of ownership or your sense of style. So what inspired that?
Okay, so one of the first posts that made me go viral on LinkedIn happened in 2017. It was, and I think my friend took a picture of me at the social media week, like the first or second edition of social media week in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And what I did was, what I posted, I think the topic of what I posted was, um, now I am confident. So I realized, one thing that I realized was, not like I was growing up, it was like I wasn't so, not like I was not confident. I can walk up to people, but sometimes there was still this part of me that was a bit shy. But one of the things I realized is every time I dressed well, I felt comfortable in myself. I loved
Mm.
myself. And every time I looked good, I realized that people naturally pay me attention. People want to listen to me more. Every time I step, I'll tell you a story. I remember some years ago, I think I won something on LinkedIn. Omojoa gave me an invite to one event.
Mm.
Because of how I looked, I was moved. They thought I was a VIP guest. I was moved into the VIP section just because of how I dressed. People,
I mean,
so
hold that thought. Hold that thought. I need to resound this. If you're watching
yes.
this video, see you don't actually have to break the bank to look good.
You see that stuff, right? I'll tell you. When I was working, that's say this is there's a mindset a lot of people have where, oh, you need to go and spend so much to look good or to look decent. Always, you see, when I was working in that company, people always thought that maybe I had to spend so much. I was using my whole salary. No, I used to go to Yaba and I'll buy
Mm.
thrifted ties, I'll buy thrifted shirts just to look. My MD was always proud of me representing our company. And how this whole thing started was because I realized that every organization I had worked for, my managers would say, why are you guys not dressing like Easy? We need, and
Love it. I
for a
love
fact,
it. Love it.
everywhere that I've worked, this is not even to brag,
Mm.
I have been the best dressed employee.
Well, I'm your
And
friend, so I know this. You be
it
dressing
stood
as
out.
if you know you're the owner of the company. Sir, be
when
calming down, but please
when I
continue.
worked, the first company I worked for in 20, and that time I was earning really low, but I was always making sure I took my
Mm.
appearance seriously, because how you appear is how Fela Droto will say you cannot dress like a suspect and expect to be treated like a prospect, right?
Mm.
So
Say it again. Say it again. Say it
you
again.
cannot you don't dress like a suspect and expect to be treated like a prospect,
Hmm.
right? So every time that thing stuck with me. The first company I worked, when my MD wants to introduce me, he would say, "Oh, Eze, he's the best dressed guy in our office."
Love
When I was
it.
working, when I worked in VI, the next my MD would say, "Oh, Is it so stylish? She's always wearing this, but these things were not expensive. My tailors were probably charging me back in those days like 3K to sew some of these things, right? So looking good, you don't have to break the bank. But it would, your appearance really matters. Like, yes, they consider your CV, they look at you, but how you appear also, goes a long way in how
Mm,
people consider you for opportunities and roles. So you can be the best candidate on CV, but your
mm.
appearance also, how you speak, how you dress, might probably not be what the company is looking for. They don't like that type of image. They don't want to have this type of person looking this way, speaking this way. So it's important that you grow, not just necessarily your academic areas, but also improve yourself in terms of how you speak, how you dress. These things also, they are not so pronounced, but it's a silent thing that you will be judged on most times in interviews and stuff. So
So
yeah,
now,
so that's literally how those things started.
um, you found your voice in
Yeah.
being diligent in your work.
Yes.
And whilst you were being diligent, you made sure that you were showing up as a prospect and not a suspect.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, at what
Absolutely.
point did you then realize that you were beginning to own your space? Because after a while, you started to have some coaching calls. What was that pivotal moment where you said, you know what, I need to then expand my influence? I cannot be the best dressed alone. I need to
Yeah.
then expand and own this space as because it's a place of personal brand now
Yeah.
expanding in corporate branding. So what was that pivotal moment? Was it a conversation? What happened? Was it a personal meditation reflective moment with you?
Hmm. Okay, so one of the things um that really triggered this for me was I realized that for sometimes every organization that I joined, people were coming to me, oh, Izzy, how do I look this way? How do I? And then you see my profile where I said I influence dress cultures within organization. It wasn't something intentional that I wanted to do. So when I was working in this small company in Ikeja, and today they are really big now, I didn't come there because I wanted to show off as anything. It was just my nature. And as a result of how I was dressing, every individual within the organization also, because there was now this person who was always dressing this good coming to this organization. People, some people just show up to work like, oh, this is not, I don't really want to be here. This is not where I should be, and you're looking so sad, you're looking annoyed. I'm not that type of person. If I'm starting small, regardless of how small where that place is, I still want to give my best in how I look, how I appear, how I talk, in everything. So when I showed up to that organization, people were always dressing a certain type of people. When I joined, after a few months, people now started trying to match how I looked. And then my MD would say, "Oh, why are you people not dressing this way? Eze is the one always doing this." And then with time, my MD was speaking this, and then it was like, "Oh, look at how Eze dresses to the office." People were asking me, "Oh, Izzy, where can I get this clothes? How can I do this?" And I realized that every time I went to events, when I walk up to people with my tie, my suit, like I really do not. My MD is always proud to say, "Oh, this is my brand manager." I remember she introduced me to like the owner of Bet Niger, and then like the director of Remo Stars, and she was like, the man
Mhm.
looked at me. No, he looks the part, So I realized that people were paying attention to me. I would walk up to people. I would just get audience from people because of how I looked. My colleagues were asking me for advice. My MD, one like the company I was in before I joined Advance You, he called me and sat me down. Izzy, how can we change these engineers? They're not looking the way we should look. And I'm just a brand manager. I'm supposed to be talking about marketing and how to do other things grow. But because of how I look, they still call me beyond my job role. Like, oh, I need you to be showing these people how to dress well. What outfit should they be wearing when they are going for meetings and things like that? It was it was everything around me that was happening. I was like, oh, people are really seeking my advice. People are really, and then my experience and the doors that this has opened for me. And I said, okay, why don't I even start sharing these tips with people? how to become. But one of the things that announced me really is where I worked, even from my own sphere of influence, that small place in Ikeja, I become a person of influence by the way I dressed and things like so. These things over time, and then I realized when I post online, people would say, "Oh, you dress so well." LinkedIn, one of the comments I always used to get from our chair ride back in the days when he also just
Yeah.
started, and all those other people was like, "Oh no, you dress really well. We love your tie. We love this." So people found me to be, and I became more every time I was well dressed. I was confident, and I'll tell you, try this when you're well dressed, walk anywhere, you'll be confident to approach anybody. People would even want to walk up to you. I was at like the head of Microsoft, the investment and poverty action in Africa, was at an event last year. I think it was last year. I think early last year. I was also at the event, so I asked the question. I wanted to meet him after the event. Immediately, I approached him. He had recognized me from like when I raised my hand to ask him questions about like what they're really doing in Africa. But immediately, the first thing I walked up to him, I was like, "Oh, nice outfit, nice blade. I love your tie." So that was already a conversation starter. How I looked. So to this person, this is somebody I can have a conversation with. But there's a way you would look, and it's like, "Oh, how can I help you?" or something. So, but he looked at me and, "Oh, this is, So you need to be able to command attention. You need to be able to command respect by not just because before people hear you, before people see before people know what you do, they judge you by your appearance. Before you
True that.
speak, it is how you look.
Mm-hmm.
Subconsciously as human beings, when you walk up to me, the first thing I look, I'm already looking at you. You sort of like just size people up subconsciously. What are they wearing? What shoe and stuff like
It's
that.
not
So
intentional. It's just a human wiring.
sub-
We just check it.
subconsciously, exactly. So these are some of the things that so you need to be diligent in not just don't just think that will just focus on your job. And so also there's several areas of your life that will draw people's attention to you,
Mm.
and how you appear, how you speak to people, and you don't even know where the opportunity will come from. So and I have had friends recommend me because they know where I worked. I saw people were always very, "Oh, Eze is a great guy." One of my former colleagues said, "Eze, if you are recommending someone to us, I trust you. If it's you
Hmm.
recommending for this job, yes, come." Another HR friend of mine said to me, "Izzy, we need somebody like you." You see that mindset of owning the business, owning your role and giving it the best. So it goes a long way. You're not just only people always think that, "Oh, if I did this on a year, I'm trying to build the company." You're not just building the company, you're also building reputation for yourself. If that company succeeds, you've also succeeded. You now have something to speak about. "Oh, I built this. I Today I can speak about several things I've done in different companies because I put in my all, I put in my best, and there's none of my manager that would say I didn't go all out." Right? So it's important to, and then how does this voice come? I wasn't somebody that likes to just, yes, I was good at what I did, but my um my diligence and excellence echoed this voice that I had, within everywhere I worked. "Oh no, this guy is, he's good at this, he's an expert." Even my line managers were calling me for external job outside. "Oh,
Hmm.
this guy is good at doing this, speak to him." So you need to be diligent in whatever you find yourself doing.
Thank you
So
so much, Eze. So I'm very
so
curious. At what
yeah.
point did you then get the certification?
Oh,
Because
so
hold on,
yes,
hold on.
so
I know that you
okay.
had gone through all of that, right?
Yeah,
And you are now at this job. So
yeah.
was it in the space of those 4 years that you were now able to then take on the certification? Because everybody's now knowing you because you've moved beyond being a brand guy to a personal stylist and then
So
corporate stylist.
exactly right. Um, so one of the amazing things again, like it was a small company in Ikeja, But there was something that she always still did for employees, which was we had developmental budgets, career development budgets. So
Mm.
while some of my friends were taking like microfinance banking certification, I told her that really I'm not really into like this microfinance bank certification. So I told her, oh, I wanted to do a public relations, just something to boost my profile as I was a brand officer. I wanted something to cement my role within the industry. So that's why
Mm.
I did. So it was when I was working with her that I did. But the sad part was if I had done that 3, 4 years earlier, it would have been easier, cheaper, and the time I would have saved myself so much time and focusing on so many other things. Right. So it was when I realized that, oh, I was already growing within this branding space. I was getting known on LinkedIn already. I was bringing in businesses to the organization from my LinkedIn because I was always posting about, oh, this company, I was doing this. I became popular working with her company, sharing
Mm.
what I was doing for the organization, sharing how we were growing, how we we're helping businesses on LinkedIn. You know, it wasn't so much about myself, but I was just speaking about like the impact that we're
You
doing,
were
and then how I was
making in the
influencing
organization.
within the organization. And that's how I got it was from her that I got recognition from World Bank. We had a meeting with like the
Mm.
gender innovation lab. So one of the things that would help you, I'll tell you, is if you, like I said earlier on, excellence cannot be hidden. If you are good at something, if you're passionate about something, it would show. It would, just be consistent about it. You will get rewarded with time, right? So while you're also, finding your voice, one of the key things, even when you find your voice, is also be excellent, in that voice, because with time, if you do not deliver excellence, you will lose that voice within that space that
Mm.
you're in. So it's important that you are, you put in the work. You're not just passion, not just, you have to be disciplined enough, you know, to maintain, because excellence is literally delivering is more like delivering you be diligently consistent, you know,
Be
in
diligently
terms of
consistent.
in delivering results, within
Mm.
your sphere of influence and even outside of that, right? So that's one of the things that has really, really helped me, right? Because every time I take on an opportunity, every time I take on a role, like
Mhm.
what do I want? What's the mark that I want to leave? So
What's the
you always have to
impact?
ask yourself, what impact do I want to leave? How do I want to contribute to? I don't just take up any role because, "Oh, I just want to do this." I want to be able to say, oh, I did this when I was here. I started this. I was able to do. And every time I sit down, I don't know, God is really great, right? Because whatever you ask God for, I think He's like the originator of creativity.
Yeah.
And you realize that the more you invest your time, and sometimes I'm always wondering where these ideas come from. My
Mm.
friends will ask me, "Oh, Eze, I'm trying to do this marketing stuff." Before ChatGPT came into play, like I can't remember the number of friends that have written
You
strategies
were
for that
the
have
chat
gotten jobs.
GPT of your
You
time
know, of
before
so
they came to help
sometimes
you.
sometimes you just sit down and then you're just thinking, and this is as a result of investing so much time in learning, improving.
Mm.
So um you know when you find your voice, the way you sound, the way you sound, the better, the more you practice, the better you become.
True.
So my voice was at a certain level when I started, but today it has been amplified by the results that I've delivered, by the references that I now get. People now say, "Oh, yes, I've worked with Eze. He can do this." Someone reached out to me and said, "I didn't know you were this good." So sometimes hearing people, you see, online, people can say, "Oh, I'm the best at this," but when they put your expertise to test, can you deliver that result? So a friend of mine, he was living Sahara and Ecoelectric, but he said he didn't want to mess it because he didn't know if I was really that great. But after the interview, but then I'd already gotten another job, and then they wanted me to resume, but I couldn't because I was loyal to the company that had already hired me. Even though I couldn't take the job, he said to me that he just messaged me and said, "Eze, yes, we've been in the same platform for years, but from what the managers and general managers have said during the interview, man, you're really smart, man. I didn't know, right? So people would not know, you need to show, you know, expertise, experience, and results, would amplify your voice. So when you find your voice, don't just keep that voice there. Keep improving it, keep growing it, and keep getting trainings to improve you as an authority within that space. Because the only way you can maintain, um, if you got your medicine license 10, 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
what is relevant today is not what is relevant 10, 20 years ago. Now we're speaking
True.
about AI. How is AI improving medicine? So you need to constantly refine and grow within that space to
Keep learning.
remain a voice of influence. So yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. So, oh my goodness, this is actually a master class on its own. Now, I'm going to take a quick swap or quick look at LinkedIn. And I have my
Okay.
coach in the comment section, Joyce Daniels. Thank
Okay.
you so much, ma'am. It's
Oh,
an honor that my coach and mentor is like, go girl, love it. Thank you so much, JD. I'm blessed. I feel so honored to have you, watch this live. Thank you so much. I really do
thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
And Izzy, you've said really amazing things, and right now my mind is really blown because the nuggets that are going to come out of this life is it's just going to be smooth. All right, so now that and I'm glad that you, even though you are not one to be. I'm looking for how to phrase that now. Yes, you work in a 9 to 5, but you've been
Yes.
able to find your purpose in being diligent at what you do, showing
Yes.
up like the man for the job, and
Yeah.
consistently evolving over time.
Yeah.
Now, recently, I saw that you had put a post about investing and saving and how you can be wealthy whilst working in 9 to 5. Can you
Yes.
shed more light on that? Because I mean the norm is, oh, you have to be an entrepreneur, you have to have all of this and that and the other. And there's people that, because of this information overload, they are now suffering, and they're like, but you told us to be entrepreneurs. And now, because okay, I remember the last episode when that I had with Dami, she had said that there was this rave of people having shoes, and then she said that because she didn't do her market analysis, she found out that that was not the way for her. And this is the
Yeah.
case of many people, because they feel like, oh, entrepreneurship is glamorous. But here you
Yes.
are, being in the 9 to 5, you're diligent, you've literally met the notable people in your field. Now, how
Yes.
are you able to navigate that and also, grow your wealth in that terrain?
Oh, okay. So thank you so much. So one of the things that I learned really early is instant gratification versus delayed gratification,
Mm,
right? So there was a time in my life, right? I always tell people you need to be able to sacrifice. So someone said, what you do at the expense of tomorrow is a debt, but what you do, you know, what I can't remember how the but what you do in investing tomorrow is like an more of like what you do for the sake of tomorrow is an investment, right?
mm,
What you do for the sake of tomorrow is an investment, but what you do against tomorrow more like it is a debt, right? So
yeah.
one of the things I started early was I realized that okay, how do I want so when you start working, how long do you want to be able to do you want to do this for long? How long do you want to do this for? So because I worked in a lending microfinance company, I worked within the lending space. I was a brand manager within that space.
Hmm.
I had seen salary earners. One of the things that shocked me the most was there was a guy that we're analyzing his bank statements to see if we can give him loans. And then he, I think it was probably earning, maybe in 2017, it was earning like 150. I saw that he was paying debt for wedding that he had done, camera deposit for wedding, this one, even after the wedding. So now I'm wondering, why would you why would you take or why would you do a wedding or why would you do something that is beyond you? So I started doing something early on. I realized that I needed to sacrifice several things for the greater good, right? I stopped going to parties. I didn't have, there was a time I wasn't even dating anybody. People just felt I was just, because you need to be in a certain frame of mind or certain space before you start taking on certain things. There was, I watch where I used to go and eat. Once I get paid, I make food from home. I brought it to the office and I was making sure that I was saving and I was also investing whatever little amount that I had. I rarely used to take Uber or anything. I used to jump the bus for a long time just so that I was able to save. And then you know, I was investing, and then the investment was always also bringing me certain amount. So one thing that you would do as a professional, one of the things I need to tell you is don't worry about what is going on now. Don't try to, oh, I want to drive the latest car, I want to have the latest phone. Use use the cheapest phone. Is it functional? Go with public transportation. Don't care what people would say. But you see, when you're able to build, the fact that you see so many people who have phones, who have this, but they are still living hand to mouth, is because they are trying, you see, instant gratification. You want to enjoy life immediately. But you see, delayed gratification is sacrificing those things, those enjoyment at the moment for future enjoyment. So don't go to parties, invest those money, because you think that this money that you are spending out every day, you go out, spend 2K, 3K here, this one, your friends invite you, Ashoebi, you do this. There's a time I didn't used to go for weddings. I was just in my house because I would wish you well, but just at that point in time, I cannot invest that much. I was earning 40,000, 50,000, but things were not that bad, because you could still eat a meal of 200 naira back in the days and you'll be comfortable. So I started saving really early and investing really early. And every time my income grew, my expenses and lifestyle did not change.
Hmm.
And I didn't live like somebody who was, a lot of my friends did not even know how much I was earning because I'll still go to the neighborhood and eat my amala and eba at one local joint for a very cheap amount than saying, okay, yeah, maybe once in a blue moon, I treat myself to one outing, but I sacrificed some years of not partying, not doing anything, and saving that money and doing something reasonable. That's why at one point in time, I was jumping bus, but there are several people who were driving car that I can boast with what I had in my saving and investment that were not as rich as I was. Not like I was so rich, but you had a car, maybe but before you sell that car, but me, what I had in savings was enough for me
The
to do almost
investment.
anything I wanted to do. An investment. I was able to take care of family. Those small yields that was coming in from the money market, I was able to use it to pay for data, transportation, and things like that. So there were times I didn't even buy new clothes for a year, office clothes and things like that. And when I was buying certain things, because I was not at a certain level yet, I was still buying thrift, or I buy new things that were not too expensive. So
Hmm.
you need to be financially disciplined when you start earning. You see, guess what? I had a friend who saw me, and this is one of the issues that we have in Nigeria. People want to look good so that, oh, when I'm online, when people do this, oh, public transportation in this in the UK, public transportation is common. In Canada, public transportation is common, but in Nigeria, when people see you in the bus, it feels like, there was this girl that I met at the party some year. I think she saw me. I was still working in Allen. I wore my suit and my tie.
Okay.
I was waiting for Ikeja Allen bus from Leventis.
Mhm.
Next thing, I think she was in the bus also. Maybe she was in a cab. Took a picture of me when I was in the bus stop and sent to my friend and said, "Oh, look at my fine Eze, my cute Eze. Oh, he's jumping boss.
Hmm.
That's that is, look at how well dressed he is and he's jumping boss." So I should go and be entering Uber when I was earning 50 something thousand there. When transportation from my house from Maryland to Allen to and fro was 200 naira, 100 naira. Sometimes it was 50 naira because I want to impress somebody. No. So if you see, a lot of people's life will transform when they stop trying to live or please people on social media. Oh, post that I went to this restaurant, I did this. Before I became a bit more where these days I get emails and stuff, I used to stay off social media online sometimes, you know, just to clear your mind because These days online, there's so much. You can wake up one day and see somebody who is there's somebody who I used to see in my neighborhood that I know. He drives the Benz and he posts pictures like, but he was still begging me for money one day. So
Okay.
online, see, people are living. I'll tell you, there's so many people living fake life. Even on
Mm.
LinkedIn, there was a time we went for one event. I engaged some of these guys that are, oh, we're experts in. I engaged some people. So a lot of people just gain popularity, but zero. They know nothing, but they are
Wow.
able to just than make more noise than the experts, right? So you need to understand you need to understand, that don't live your life by social media. Don't try to impress anybody. Just do you. Save, invest. Don't think of buying things newly now. All these things that people are doing now. In the future, you want to be able to take care of yourself, take care of your family. When I wanted to get married, I didn't have to beg anybody for money. People supported me, yes. But over the time, all those days that I did, all those money that I'd saved from transportation, all those things and things like that. Also look for ways to add value to yourself. Another thing that I
Yeah.
probably did not speak about is while I was doing my 9 to 5, there are other businesses that you can do on the side that you don't have to open one big shop. I was selling something on Jumia. I just buy things, maybe bracelets and things like that. I was putting on Jumia e-commerce and I was making some small money on the side that afforded me to pay for things. But if you really want to, you need to be financially disciplined and don't instant gratification. You need to do away with instant gratification and start imbibing delayed gratification. So discipline, financial discipline, sacrifice. You need to be able to make sacrifice. Sacrifice those partying, sacrifice buying new things. If your phone, me, I used to tell people I can use one phone for the next 3 years if the camera is good, or 4 5 years. My MD, who is a billionaire in Naira and also a millionaire in, she used to use Techno. She says, hey, why am I spending? She uses the most expensive Techno back in the days. She's like, is it why am I spending that much of money on the phone? She even uses the one that uses has a pen and stylus. She's like, and that's why sometimes you see so many people will remain poor because of the choices that we make. I want to be the one, is it what phone are you using? Oh, I use an iPhone 5, 15, 16. Of what benefit is that to you, to your career? Does that improve? Yes, if the phone is bringing you money as a content creator, makes sense. But if it's just for status, it's useless to you. So these are the things that I learned because I worked in a loan company and I saw how people are taking loans. I also took a loan some years ago to do my master's, but I did
Mm.
not take a loan to because I want to go and party or to go and do. So when I saw those things, when I saw the trends, I said, wow, people are really taking loans to go and do party, taking loans to go and do. So do invest it. Invest if you're going to even take a loan, use it to invest in your career,
Invest and then
in
return.
yourself, and then make a return. So
Return.
take loans to do a master's program in maybe in Rome Business School in this thing. And then
Yeah,
when you now get
yeah.
a job,
And I am an
uh
alumnus. Yeah. I need to take a
exactly.
loan now.
No,
I
so
need to take a loan.
I'm not even going to lie. When I
Mm,
started working, I took my MD gave me a loan, but as an
mm.
employee, we got a discounted loan. And I took a loan. That's how I was able to pay for my master's in Unilag.
Wow.
I had the money in my savings, but why do I want to use my savings um to pay for my masters, right? So these are some of the things I used to always teach people back in the days. You can use loans. Loans in itself is not bad. It's how people use it. You know, take trainings, use it to do things that when you get that immediately I got my certification, I also got salary increase because I was now higher. I got a better this thing within the organization. So these are ways to improve yourself. So I hope that with this, somebody out there is don't look at Eze is this all those times that people are seeing all those pictures. Think maybe I'm spending 100,000 is I'm somewhere in Yaba with my guy giving me my tie and some other things. So
Thank you
social
so
media,
much,
social
Eze.
media, do not be deceived by how people live on social media.
Oh
You
my
know,
goodness.
focus
This
on
is
what's
like
important.
robust 1 hour of germs that you have been,
You
dishing out
know,
to us. And I'm going to take a quick look at LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Augustine Agbohaiwo. Thank you. Oh my goodness. I mean, there are a lot of things happening on LinkedIn. I'm just having to just look at it and then just, chip back in. But thank you so much, Eze. This
Thank you so much for
is
having
a
me.
master class. Trust me, it's a serious master class in discipline, excellence, delayed gratification,
Yes,
self-control, investment, savings, everything
absolutely.
combined. This is a full meal. Now, what would be your final words to anyone? And one thing that I really appreciate in the things that you've said is the fact
Yeah,
that for everything that you have highlighted, for every story that you've shared a few nuggets. But what other
yeah.
things can you give us as your final words in the next 2 minutes, and then we'll call it a day.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to be able to share like the things that I know, and what gives me joy is to be able to see that people don't make some of the mistakes that we made or I made at some point in time in my life. And if there's anything you're going to take away from here, anybody who is listening, if you're listening, is sometimes it might not be easy to find your voice or find, you know, what you, and especially in this age and time, you go online, see people are doing different things, you don't even know what you really want to do.
Mm,
Is I need you to just sit down, identify the things, list out 5 things or 3 things that you're good at, right? Ask friends, people within your, either where you work, what you think I'm really good at, what you like about me, what you think is something that is my strength. Note those things down, right? And then maybe ask your parent or those around you again also, what's this thing that you think I really do? I think that I really enjoy. Or what's that thing that how would you describe me? If someone says, oh, would you say, oh, that smart girl, or is it that talkative or this? How would people describe you? Also note that down. Once you identify the things, what are the top things that people describe you with? Now look at the things, the areas where you feel that, oh, this is where I want to find this is the things that really align. This is where I think I can build my voice or improve my voice on. So once you've identified these things, how does what I want to be known for and what people think of me, how does it align? So find a way to align your strengths, what you think of yourself and what people think of you. Find a way to align that and then improve on that area where you know or say within yourself, this is where you want to be known for, this is what you want to do. Don't necessarily look at, oh, what people are doing online or something. Find somebody who is doing the thing that you really love. One of the things that helped me really early is Fela Drote was one of the first person I identified, and interning with volunteering for his company really helped me build leadership capacity, and I learned quite a number of things. I might not have really had like a direct one-on-one every time with him, but just working for his organization, I also identified Steve Harris, Bankole Williams. What were they doing? These people who look like the future that you're picturing for yourself. What are they doing? How are they improving themselves? So, like I said, identify the areas that you feel you're good at. Interact with some of your close friends, those who you trust their words. What do
mm,
they say about you? Note that down. And then also identify people within the industry that their voice aligns with yours. And then lastly, because regardless of how great your voice is, one of the things that stands people out in this age and time is certifications and expertise. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to be able to build results, or people. Steve Harris would say that people do not buy into potentials, they buy into results. I can draw, and somebody who say I have been drawing for 5 years is two different things, right?
mm,
So you don't need. So when you're finding the beautiful thing about this age and time is, many years ago you probably needed television or radio. That's the only way to become a celebrity or the only way to make your voice heard. But today, just by going to Facebook and creating an account, your voice can reach 1,000 people, 1 million people. So
yeah.
find a platform that works for you and start sharing your thoughts and putting your voice out there and building relationships and connections with those within your space. Share expertise, improve yourself, grow, build relationship, and become better at whatever you do. So thank you so much again.
Thank you so much, Eze. This is
Thank you.
really, I don't think insightful cuts it, but it's beyond insightful. But thank you so much. And I believe that for those of you that have been with us from the beginning, thank you so much. A big shout out to my coach and mentor, Joyce Daniels. Thank you for stopping by. And of course, Augustine Hagbai, I will thank you. Very good friend of mine, by the way. Thank you for stopping by.
Oh,
And being a great support. I mean, they've been with me from from day one. And of course, Eze,
nice.
thank you so much. And
Thank you so
to
much for having
you
me.
watching this video, thank you. Because trust me, this video is going to change your life. And I believe that with these few words of ours, we've been able to convince you and not confuse you that delayed
Absolutely.
gratification is the way to go and self
Yes.
discipline is also the way to go. So thank you so much,
Yes.
Eze. Have a phenomenal evening. My regards to your very beautiful wife.
Thank
Take
you so
care
much
and
again. Thanks for having me. Thanks, guys, for
yeah,
joining. Bye bye.
yeah, bye. All right, guys. I mean, this is really, really, really mind blowing. I'm looking for the right adjective, but please make sure that you watch the replay on YouTube at Jade Sola Adewodu, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, turn on your notification button so that you can know when we have a new video. And of course, to our friends on LinkedIn, thank you for your comment. Definitely, you get nuggets probably tomorrow or in the day after. But thank you so much for staying tuned. I still remain Jade Sola Adewodu, your host for the Find Your Voice and On Your Space show. So I'll come your way again for another exciting episode. Bye for now.